River run past even Adams, from swerve of shore to bend of bay, brings us by a commodious vicus of recirculation back to Howth Castle and environs. Sir Tristram, violet d'amour, for over the short sea, had passing corps re-arrived for North Armorica, on this side the scraggy isthmus of Europe Minor, to wield or fight his peninsulate war. Nor had Top Sawyer's rocks by the stream Oconee exaggerated themselves to Lawrence County's gorgios, while they went doubling their mumper all the time. Nor a voice from afire bellows Misha Misha to Tough Tough Thuart Pietrick. Not yet, though Vinnisoon after had skid scad buttoned to bland old Isaac. Not yet, though all's fair in vanity, were Sozy Sethers wroth with Twone Nathan Joe. Wrought a peck of Pa's malt, had gem or sen, brewed by arclight, and Rory end to the Regan brow was to be seen ringsome on the aquaface. The fall, ba ba ba, dal grav, jakataka, minaruk, bronte ruon rock ton, thun, to var, hunaskan, tu, hood, and tournuk, of a once Wall Street old par is retailed early in bed and later on knife down through all Christian minstrelsy. The great fog of the oft-wall entailed at such short notice the shoot of Finnegan, erst solid man, that the humpy hill-head of himself promptly sends, and uninquiring one well to the west in quest of his tumpty-tum-toes. In their upturned pike point and place is at the knockout in the park where oranges have been laid to rust upon the green since Devlin's first love Livy. What clashes here of wills gin wants, ostry gods, gag and fishy gods, brekik, kekik, 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 coax, 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 ualu, 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 kuaua, where the Battlearies partisans are still out to Master Malachus Migraines, and the Verdons catapulting the cannibalistics out of the Huitabois of Hoodyhead. Assia Gates and Boomerang Strums, Sod's brood be me fair, Sanglorian save, arms appeal with larms appalling, killy kid killy, a toll, what chance cuddies, what castles aired and ventilated, what biddy me two loves seduced by what tiggo tit batman solvers, what true feeling for theirs hay hair with what strong voice of false Jacob. O hear, how hath Sproud met the dust of father of fornicationists, but, O my shining stars and body, how hath Fanaspend, most high heaven, the sky signed of soft advertisement. But was isut, ere were sewers, the oaks of old, now they lie in peat, yet elms ye leap where asks lay. Fall if you will, but will, rise you must, and none so soon shall the farce for the nonce come to a set-down secular finish. Big Master Finnegan, of the stuttering hand, Freeman's Moor, lived in the broadest way imaginable, in his rushly too far back for messuages before Joshuan judges had given us numbers or Helviticus committed Deuteronomy. One yeasty day he sternly struck his techna tub for to watch the future of his fates, but ere he swiftly struck it out again by the might of Moses, the very water was evaporated, and all the Gunnesses had met their exodus, so that ought to show you what a pinch and juicy chap he was. And during mighty odd years this man of Hod, cement and edifices in Topersthorpe, piled bildong supra bildong upon the banks for the livers by the so-and-so. He had a little piffy Annie, ug the little crather, with her hair and horns tuck up your part inner, oft while balbuous, mither ahead, with goodly trowel and grasp, in ivo-roiled overalls, which he habitacularly fonseed, like Haroun Childeric Egaberth, he would colligulate by multiplicables, the altitude and multitude, until he saw by night of the liquor whereto 'twas born, his roundhead staple of other days to rise in undressed masonry upstanded. Joy grant it! A wall-worth of a skyscrape of most Eiffel, hoith and towerly, originating from next to nothing and celescating the hymels and all hierarchitectophical, with a burning bush abob its bubble top, and with larns o' toolers clittering up and tumbles o' buckets clottering down. Of the first was he to bear arms and a name, Wasseli Buslaug of Riesenegeborg, his crest of heraldry, and ver with ancillars, troublant argent a heguach, pursuivant horrid horned, his scutchum fest, with archers strung, Helio of the second, hooches for husbandman, handing his hoe. Ho, 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 Mr. Finn, you're going to be Master Finnegan. Come day morn, and oh your vine, Sunday's eve, and your vinegar. Ha, 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 Mr. Finn, you're going to be fined again. What then Agent Nike brought about that tragedy Trender's Day in this municipal sin business? Our cube house still rocks as ear witness to the thunder of his Araphatus, but we hear also through successive ages that Shebi chorus of unqualified Mussulmanisms there would blackguard eyes the Whitestone, ever hurtled out of heaven. Stay us wherefore in our search for righteousness, O Sustainer, what time we rise, and when we take up toothpick, and before we lump down upon our leather bed, and in the night and in the fading of the stars. For a nod to the nabier is better than a wink to the wabsanti. Other ways, west ways, like that provost scoffing Bedouin, the Jezebel and the Gypsian sea. Crop herb, the crunch bracken shall decide. Then we'll know it the feast is a fly day. She has a gift of seek on sight, and she all casually answers helpers. The dreamy dairy. Heed, it may half be a misfired brick, as some say, or it might have been due the collapsus of his back promises as others looked at it. There extant by now 1,001 stories, all told of the same, but so sore did Abe eat Ivy's holiard apples, what with the Walhall's horrors of Rolls Rights, car hacks, stone engines, kist vanes, tram trees, Fargo ballers, autokinetons, hippo hubblies, street fleets, tornin taxes, megafogs, circuses and wardsmotes, and basilic kirks and aeropagods, and the hoist and the jolly brule, and the peeler in the court, and the Mecklenburg bitch bited his ear, and the Merlinborough buttocks, and his 4 old courts, the bore the more, and his blight black working stacks at 12 pins a dozen, and the newbie buses sliding across Safety First Street, and the Derry Jellies bees snooping around Telno Taylor's corner, and the fumes and the hopes, and the stroopa-thump of his Ville's indigenous rum-keepers, home-sweepers, dome-creepers, Thurum and fancy mud murmured, and all the uproar from all the Ufros, a roof for May and a reef, for Hugh Butt under his bridge suits Tony, one warning Phil tippling full. His howd field heavy, his hidot did shake. There was wool, of course, in erection, dim. He started from the latter, damn he was dud. Dumb Master Batum, when a mon marries his lute is all long, for all the world to see. Shiza, she, Macool, or a wee did die of a tryin' thirsty morning. Sobs they sided at Finnegan's Chris or Miss Wake, all the hooligans of the nation prostrated in their consternation, and their duodecimally profusive plethora of ululation. There was plums and grooms, and sheriffs and citherers, and raiders and cinnamon too, and the old G&D Inn with the shoutmost joviality, Agog and Magog in the round of the Magrog, to the continuation of that celebration until Hanan Hoonigan's extermination. Some in kin chorus, more can keening, belling him up and filling him down. He's stiff but he's steady as Priam Olim. 'Twas he, the decent gay labouring youth, sharpen his pillow scone, tap up his beer. Ere where in this world would ye hear such a din again? With their deep brow fundigs and the dusty fidelios, they laid him broad on a lang last bed, with the buckle lips of Finsky afore his feet, and a barrow load of Guinnesses o'er his head. Tea the tootle of the fluid hang, the twaddle of the fuddled o. Hurrah, there is but young Glev, for the owl globe wheels in view, which is tautologically the same thing. Well, him a being so on the flounder of his bulk like an overground babbling, let we peep, see at home, well see PG audiot, platter plate. Hum, from Shopolis to Ballywick, or from Ashton to Baranoath, or from by the banks to round the head, or from the foot of the bill to Irreglint's eye he calmly extensoles, and all the way a horn from fjord to fjell his bay winds oboes shall wail him rock-bound, ho, in swim, swam, swum, and all the livelong night, the dell dappling night, the night of bluery bells, her flittle flute and tricky trushes, O Carina, wake him, with her Essavans and her patter Jack Martins about all the mins and ounces. Tilling a tale of a tum, telling a toll of a teary tooting towbling, grace before glutton, for what we are, gifts a gross if we are about to believe. So pool the beg and pass the kiss for cross sake. Amen. So sias. Grandpapus is fallen down, but Grinny sprins the board. Waste on the joint of a dish. Finfo from the fush. Waste be his bacon head, a loaf of Sing Pantry's Kennedy bread, and ways hitched to the hop in his tail, a glass of Danu O'Donnell's famous old Dublin ale. But lo, as you would quaff off his fraud stuff and sink teeth through that tithe of a flower white body behold of him, as behemoth for he is no a home. Finish, only a photograph of a western scene, almost Rubicon Salmo Salar, ancient foremost from the ages of the Agapemonides, he is smolten in our midst, woe-becanned and packed away, so that Neil's dead off for Summan, Schluck, Schliss, and Goodrid hearing. Yet may we not see still the Bronto-Ichthian form, outlined aslumbered, even in our own night time by the sedge of the troutling stream that Bronto loved and Brunto has a lean on. Hic cubuat edilis, apud libertinam parvulam. What if she be in flags or flitters, reeky rags or Sunday choices, with a mint of minds or beggar or pennyweight? Ara, sure, we all love little Annie Rooney, or we mean to say love little Annie Rainey, when under her brella, mid-piddle med-puddle, she nanny goes nancing by. Yo, Brontalone slaps yo snores, upon Ben Heather, and Seeple suit too. The cranic head on him, caster of his reasons, peer youthner in yon mist. Hooth, his clay feet swattered in verdigras stick up stark where he last fell on him, by the mund of the magazine wall, where our Maggie's seen all, with her sister in shoal. While o'er against this bells and alliance beyond ill 60, all allowed ield. Bagsides of the fort, bomb, terra bomb, lurk the ambushes, the sight of the lifting in weight of the upjock and Hawkins. Hence, when the clouds roll by, Jamie, a proud's eye view is enjoyable of our moundings mass, now Wallenstone National Museum, with, in some greenish distance, the charmful Waterloose country, and the two quite white villagettes, who here show of themselves so gigglesome minks the foliages, the prettilies. Penetrators are permitted into the museum free. Welsh and Paddy Pincus's 1 shilling. Dish remembers invalids of old guard, find pussy pram, to sate the sort of their butt. For her passkey supply to the genetrix, the mistress Caith. Tip. This is the way to the musee-room. Mind your hats going in. Now yez in the Willendone musee-room. This is a Prussian gun. This is a French. Tip. This is the flag of the Prussias, the cap and saucer. This is the bullet that bing the flag of the Prussias. This is the French that fire on the bull, that bang the flag of the Prussias. Salute the cross gun. Up with your pike and fork. Tip. Bull's foot. Fine. This is the 111 hat of Lippoleum. Tip. Lippoleum hat. This is the Willingdon on his same white horse, the Kokenski. This is the big Schrotter Willingdon, grand and magentic in his gowntin spurts, and his iron ducks, and his quarter-brass woody shoes, and his magnate's garters, and his Bangkok's best, and his Golyer's goloshes, and his pull-upon Easian wartrues. This is his big wide horse. Tip. This is the 3 Lippoleum Boyne, grouching down in the living ditch. This is an Inimiscilling Inglis. This is a Scotcher Grey. This is a Davy stooping. This is the Bog Lippoleum motoring the Lippoleum Beg. A Gallagher's Arguamont. This is the petty Leoleum boy that was ne'er bag nor bug. I say. 2 shoal fits to a mush. Dirty Mac Dyke and Harry O'Hurry. All of them arminus varminus. This is Delian Alps. This is Monteval. This is Montipsy. This is the Grand Mons Injun. This is the Crinoline of the Alps hooping to shelter shock the 3 Lippoleums. This is the Ginnies with their Regahorns, fainting to read in their handmaid's book of strategy while making their war undecidis the Willingdon. The Ginnies is a coin her hand, and the Ginnies is raven her hair, and the Willingdon get the band up. This is big Willingdon Memorial, tallow scoop wonderworker, obsidies on the flags of the Ginnies. 6 caliber horsepower. Tip. This is me, Belcom, sneaking his Philippi out of his most awful grimace sunshot Cromberly, looted. This is the Ginnies Hastings dispatch for to irrigate the Willingdon. Dispatch in thin red lines, cross the short front of me Belcom. Yaw, leaper orthor, fear saken. Field gaze thy tiny fro. Hug acting. Nap. That was the tic-tacs of the Ginnies, for to Fontanoy the Willingdon. She. The Jinnings is jealous agincourting all the Lippoleums, and the Lippoleums is gone boycotting crazy on the Willingdon, and the Willingdon get the band up. This is Bode Belcom, bonnet to Busby, breaking his sacred word with a ball up to his ear to the Willingdon. This is the Willingdon's her old ditchback back. This bitch disployed on the regions rare of me Belchum. Salamandra, aye, cherry ginnies, fig tree you, damn fairy Ann, voot, Willingdon. That was the first joke of Willingdon tick for tack. He. And this is me, Belcom, in his 12-mile cowchooks, wheat, tweet, and stamp forth foremost, footing the camp for the Ginnies. Drink a sip, drank a sup, for he's a sooner buy a Guinness than he'll stale store stout. This is Rooshi's bowls. This is a trench. This is mistletoe. This is cannon fodder with the puppy nose, after his 100 days' indulgence. This is the blessed Tara's widars. This is Ginnies in the bonny bland blooches. This is Lippoleums in the rowdy houses. This is the willing done by the splinters of cork oder fire. Tonnerre! Bullseer, play! This is camelry, this is floodens, this is the sophorines in action, this is their mobility, this is panic burns. Oh my God, our 'tis too loose. This is Willingdon cry, brum, come brum. This is Ginny's cry, underwetter, goat strip thin lambs. This is Ginny's rinning away to their unsternests, down a bunker shields, with a nippy nip and a trippy trip so airy. For their hearts right there, tip. This is me, Belcham's tink two, tank two, silver plate for kitchen the crepes in the cool of his canister. Pour the pay. This is the Bismarck of the Marathon Mary of the Ginnies that left behind them. This is the Willingdon Branlish, his same marmoreal tallow scoop, Sophie Key Po for his royal diversion on the Rinaway Ginnies. Gambarista della Porca, Dalva Veris Femeris. This is the pettiest of the Lippoleums. Toffee thief that spy on the Willingdon from his big white horse, the Cape and Hope. Stonewall Willingdon is an old Maxie Montrumany. Lippoleums is a nice hung bushel doors. This is hyena hinissing laughing alout at the Willingdon. This is Lipsig Dooley Cregan the funk from the Hennessy. This is the Hindu Shimar Shin between the Dooley boy and the Hennessy. Tip. This is the wixy old Willingdon picket up the half of the three-foiled hat of Lippoleums from out of the bloodal filth. This is the Hindu waxing Ranmijad for a bumshoob. This is the Willingdon ranking the half. This is the Willingdon hanking the half of the hat of Lippoleums up the tail on the backside of his big white horse. Tip. That was the last joke of Willingdon. Hit, hit, hit. This is the same white horse of the Willingdon, culp and hulp, waggling his tail scrap with the half of a hat of Lippoleums to insult on the Hindu sea boy. Nay, 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 bullscrag foul. This is the sea boy, Marashataras, up jump and pump him, cried to the Willingdon, up Pukaroo, Pukayurap. This is the Willingdon born stable gentleman, tinders his matchbox to the Corsican Shimar Shin, Basucker Usted. This is the do for him sea boy, blow the whole of the half of the hat of Lippoleums off of the top of the tail on the back of his big white horse. Tip. Bullseye game. How Copenhagen ended. This way the Moosey room. Mind your boots going out. Phew. What a warm time we were in there. But how killing is here the hereabouts. We know where she lives, but you must not tell any one for the lamp of Jig-a-lanthorn. It's a candle-lit house of a month and one windies, down a down, high down a down, and numbered quaintly mine, and such reasonable weather too. The vagrant's wind a waltz it around the Piltowns, and on every blasted nolly rock, if you can spot 50, I spy 4 more. There's that gnarly birdie gathering. I'll run a little, do a little, pray a little, pour a little, wipe a little, kick a little, sever a little, eat a little, whine a little, ken a little, hef a little, pedal a little, gnarly bird. A very table land of beak-barred fields. Under his 7 Rothschilds lies one, lump roar, his glaive to side him, scud untorsed. Our pigeons pair are flown for Northcliffs. The 3 of crows have flapped it suddenly, cracking of debacle to the coverters of that sky, whence Trubos answer, well 'tis well. She never comes out when thawns on shower, or when thawns flash with his nixie girls, or when thawns blowin' toom cracks down the gales of Thorn. No nooba no, nebless on you live. Her would be too moochy a freet. A bury my leg and bin me rolling eyes, and all the deed and the woe. Fee fo fum. She just does hopes 'tis byes will be byes. Here and it goes on to appear now she comes. A peace fugle, a perdy's bird, a perry potmother, a pringle prick in the ill skippy, with pee-wee and po-woes and biggy-baggy on her bicky-backy, and a fleck flinging its pixie lighting packs hurrah magbows, picking here, pecking there, pussy, plunder pussy. But it's the Armatides too nigh, middle to Pookus, and too morn we wish for a muddy kinsman, to the minutia workers, and there's to be a gorgiups, too for happiness child hair everywhere. Come Nebo me and Suso sing the day we sally bright. She's burrowed the coacher's headlight the better to pry. Who goes cute goes seokur and shoots around, and all spoiled goods go into her knapsack. Cartridges and rattling buttons, nappy spatties and flasks of all nations, clavicurs and scamplers, maps, keys, and wood piles of halfpennies, and mood-lead brooches with blood-stained breaks in 'em, Boston night garters and masses of shoe sets, and nickely knacks and fodder all Michael, and a lugly parson of cates, and howitzer moochiers, and midgers and maggots, ills and ells with toffs of lofts, and plurs of bells, and the last sigh that come fro the heart. Bucklead, and the fairest sin the sun saw, that Serk, with kiss, kiss Chris, kiss cross, undo lives in, slain. How beautiful, and how true to wife of her, when strengthly forbidden to steal our historic presence from the past post-propheticals, as to will us make us all lordy heirs and lady maidesses of a pretty nice kettle of fruit. She is living in our midst of debt and laughing through all plores for us. Her birth is uncontrollable, with an apron for her mask and her sabots kicking arias. So sair, so sully, if yous ask me and I sack you. Hoo, Gricks may rise and Troyser's fall, there being two sights forever a picture. For in the byways of high improvidence, that's what makes life work leaving, and the world's a cell for sitters to sit in. Let young women run away with the story, and let young men tuck smooth behind the butler's back. She knows her night's duty while Luntum sleeps. Did ye save any tin, says he? Did I what with a grin, says she? And we all like a married Anne, because she is mercenary. Though the length of the land lies under liquidation, flute, and there's ne'er a high brow nor an eye bush on this glaubrous face of Herrschuft Wawa Walter, she'll loan a vesta, and hire some peat, and sarch the shores, or cockle the heat, and she'll do all a turf woman can to piff the business on, paff, to puff the blaziness on, puff, puff. And even if Humpty shall fall frumpty, times is awkward again in the beard's bousaloom of all our grand remonstrancers, there'll be eggs for the breakers come to morn him, sunny side up with care. So true it is that there's where a turnover, the tay is wet too, and when you think you catch sight of a hind, make sure but you're cocked by a hen. Then, as she is on her behaviour right job of Queen and Spandy, fruiting for firstlings and taking her tithe, we may take our review of the two mounds to see nothing of the himples here, as at elsewhere, by sixes and sevens, like so many he-gills and colleens, sitting aroont, sent breeched in sumputreek, in their swish-a-wish satins and their taffy-taff tights, playing Wharton's folly, at a tree party on the planko in the park. Stand up, Mickos, make straight for Minna's. By order Nicholas Proud, we may see and hear nothing if we choose of the short-legged Bergens off Corkhill, or the Bergamoors of Arborhill, or the Berga Gambles of Summerhill, or the Bergen Sellies of Misery Hill, or the country-bossed Burgones of Constitution Hill, though every crowd has its several tones, and every trade has its clever mechanics, and each harmonical has a point of its own, Olaf's on the rise, and Ivor's on the lift, and Citric's places between them. But all they are all there scraping along to sneeze out a likelihood that will solve and salve life's rubulus rebus, hopping round his middle like kippers on a griddle, as he lays dormant from the microborg of Holdhard to the macroboard of Pierrepoudre. Behold this sound of Irish sense. Really? Here English might be seen royally? One sovereign pund a petery pence. Regally, the silence speaks the scene. Fake! So this is Jublong? Hush, Coulson, Echoland. How charmingly exquisite. It reminds you of the outwashed engravure that we used to be blurring on the blotch wall of his inkempt house. Used they? I am sure that tiring chabble shoveler with a musical chocolate box, Mary Mitchell, is listening, I say. The remains of the outworn gravemoor where used to be blurried the tollmans of the incubus. Used we? He is only pretending to be stugging at the Jubilee harp from a second existed listener, fiery farrelly. It is well known, look for himself and see the old butte New Dublin, WKOO here, from the mausoleum wall, fim, with a grand fun for all, fum, 'tis optophone with ontophanes, list, Wheatstone's magic lyre, they will be tuggling forever, They will be listening for aloof. They will be pre-tumbling for over. The harp's discord shall be theirs for all lives. Four things, therefore, saith our hereditary Mammon Lucius in his grand old Historiorum, wrote near Boriorum, bluest book in Bailey's Annals, if tea and Diffanarski ne'er saw fail till heather smoke and cloudweed isle sulpile. And here now they are the fear of tutties, unum, adar, a Buban boss surmounted upon an alderman, aye, duum, nisum, a shoe on a poor old woman, ah ho, trium, tamus, an auburn maid, O'Brien a bride, to be deserted, a dear, quod libus, Marchus van, a pin no whitier nor a pole post, and so, and all, sucketh. So how idlers win turning pages on pages, as innocents with Anaclete play Popeye Antipop, the leaves of the living in the bulk of the deeds, annals of themselves timing the cycles of events grand and national, bring facile wise to pass whole. 1132 A.D. Men like to answer emmets wondering upon a groot wide wall feast which lay in a runnel, blubby wares of Pat Ublanium. 566 A.D. On Balfire's night of this year, after deluge a crone that had a wicked quiche for to hail dead turves from the bog, looked under the bay of her kish as she ran for to satisfage her curiosity, and be me soul, she found hersel sack full of swart goody quickenshoon and small elegant brogues so rich in sweat. Blurry works at Hurlsford. Silent. 566 A.D. At this time it fell out that a brazen-locked damsel grieved sobra la Solus because that puppeter minion was ravished of her by the ogre Puropius Pius. Bloody wars in Ballioglia Bally. 1132 A.D. 2 sons at an hour were born unto a good man and his hag. These sons called themselves Caddy and Primus. Primus was a santry man and drilled all decent people. Caddy went to Winehouse and wrote a piece of farce. Blotty words for Dublin. Somewhere, apparently, in the Ginandogo gap between Antediluvius and Anna Dominant, the copyist must have fled with a scroll. The Billy Flood rose, or an outcharged him, or the Sultrup Worldwhite from the Excelsimos Empyrean, bolt in some, earth-spake, or the Donoman Gallus, banged pan the bliddy Durin. A scribicide, then in there, is led off under Old's code, with some fine covered by 6 marks or 9 pins, in metal men for the sake of his labour's dross, while it would be only now and again in our rear of our era, of an upshoot of military and civil engagements, that a ginecure was let onto the scaffold for taking that fine same sum covertly by meddlement with the drawers of his neighbour's safe. Now, after all that tar-fetched and paragreen or dignant or clear lift, we are ears, eyes of the darkness, from the tome of Liber Lividis, and to, how paisibly ironical, o dimmering dunes and gloaming glades, self stretches afore us on our Friedaland's plain. Lean neath stone pine the pastor lies with his crook. Young pricket by pricket sister nibbleth on return viridities. Amid her rockin' grasses the herb trinity shams lowliness. Sky is of evergrey. Thus too for donkey's ears. Since the bouts of Hibier and Herryman, the cornflowers have been staying at Ballymun. The dusk rose has choosed out goatstones hedges. Tulips have pressed to gather them by sweet rush, townland of twinelights. The white thorn and the red horn have fair gayed in May valleys of Nook Maroon, and though for rings round them during a chiliad of perihellygangs, the Fomorians have brittled the toothath of the Danes, and the Oxman has been pestered by the firebugs, and the joints have thrown up jerry building to the Cavanzas, and little on the green is child's father to the city. Year, and laugh tears, these pack-sealing buttonholes have quadrilled across all centuries, and whiff now waft to us, fresh and made of all smiles on the eve of Killall-Hoo. The babblers with their Thangus vein have been Confusium Hold'em, they were and went, Singing thugs were, and how hymn song toms were, and comely norgles were, and polyfool fiancies. Men have thawed, clerks have sursurhumed, the blonde has sought of the brune, else kiss thou me, mean Kerry Piggy, and the dunkle dames have countered with the hellish fellows. Who ales tongue coddo, a spice of dumbill silly. And they fell upon one another, and themselves they have fallen. And still now a nights and by nights of yore do all bold floras of the field to their shy fond lovers say only, call me ere I wilt to thee, and but a little later, pluck me while I blush. Well may they wilt, merry and profusely blush betroth, for that saying is as old as the Howits. Leave a whale a while in a wheelbarrow, isn't it the truth I'm telling ye, to have fins and fippers that shimmy and shake. Timmy, Tim can, Tim tear, tampting tam, flippity, flippity, flea pow, hop. In the name of a name, this carl on the copgy, in pelted thongs apart alone, who the Joe Beggar be he? For shapen his pig-made hogshead, shrunk his plod's foot, he hath lock toes, this short shins, and oh behold that's pectoral, his mamma muscles most mysterious. It is slaken munching out of something's brain pan. Me seemeth a dragon man, he is almost on the kip here, fifth here. His comestible sack soon, be it Junipery or February, Marx or April, or the ramping riots of Purios and Frurios. What a coohar sort of man. It is evident the mission daddy. Let's we overstep his fire defences in these crows of slit-socked marrowbones cave. He can p'raps posterous the pillory way to Herculos pillar. Come on, fool porterful, hosiered women blown monk sewer. Excuse us, Charlie Guy. You taller day donks. You talkative Scowegian. You spiggotti Angles. You fonio Saxon. Clear also. 'Tis a jute. Let us swap hats and excheck a few strong verbs, weak oach each other, yap yazzer to bast the bluty creeks. And this be the conversation of mutton jute. Utah! Mook's pleasure ad. Are you Jeff? Some hards. But you are not Jeff Mute. No ho, only an utterer. Ooh, what is the matter with you? I became a stummer. What a how horrible thing to be caused. How much? But the bottle, sir. Whose puddle? Wherein? The inns of dug turf were used to be he. You that side your voice are almost inaudible to me. Become a bitskin more wiseable, as if I were you. Has, af, hesitancy, oop, boohoo, booruurup. I tremble from wrath in mine minds when I rim. One eye gone black, bison's is bison. Let me for all your hesitancy cross your qualm with drink guilt. Here have Sylvan coin, a piece of oak. Guineas high is good for you. Louis, how wouldn't I know not it? The intelligible great cloak of Cedric Silky Shag. Seed mealy faulty rices for one Dublin bar. Old Grillsy Grousley, he was poached on in that egg tentacle spot. Here were the liveries, Monomark. There were the misers, Mooney, Minnikin Pass. Simply because the taciturn pertails a wrong story shortener, he emptied the whole borough of ravages under soil here. Just how a pudding stone in at the Brooksills by a river pool. Low down marshy, with what for a nurse strike? Some other with a bull on a clump turf. Rook's row room, Rex room. I could snort to him of the spoomy horn, with his woolsly side in, by the neck I am sitting on, did Brian de Lynn. boiled doyle and raw honey on me when I can be rudely forstand a weird from stork to Finnick in such a patwat as your rutter damn rutter. Unheard of and I'm seen. Good after me and see you doomed. Quite agreeum. Bus of a sec. Walk a done blink roundward this albusile, and you skull see how old ye plain of my elders, Humphrey and ours, where won the whale Wimbrel to Peewee o'er the saltings, where will be sighty by law of Isman, where by a draught of signory ice flow was from is in the binning from those finished here punct. That erim rumour, mares, two races, sweet and brack, motoring rue, hither crashing eastwards, they are insurgents, hence, Coolgateb, they requies. Countlessness of live stories have never fallen by this plage, flick as flowflakes, litters from aloft, like a wast wizard all of weir worlds. Now all are tomb to the mound, ishges to ishges, erd from erd, pride, O pride, thy prize. Stench! Via feet. Here and under lie they, large by the small and every night light. Also they strange. Babylon the great grand hotel with tittle house, Alp on earwig, drunk on ild, like as equal to unequal in this sound cemetery, which is Liebe's love. Zword! Meldon Unlees, by the fierce wave behouted, Despond sung, and Thanasestros mound have swore up the mole. This out of years is not save brick dust and being humus the same roturns. He who runes may read it on all fours. O Sissel, Dorsasissel, Tristle, crumbling. Sell me sooth the fair for humbling. Humbly be fair, but speak it all sophistly, Moulder, be in your wisht. Wisht? The giant forficules with Amni the Fay. How? Here is Vice King's grab. What? Or you Aston Eeg Jutju? I am thunderstruck, thing mad. Stoop. If you are ABC minded to this clay book, what curious of signs, please stoop in this Alf Abed. Can you read, since we and thou had it out already, its world? It is the same told of all, many, miscegenations on miscegenations, teakle. They lived and laughed and loved and left, forsen. Thy thingdom is given to the Medes and Porsons. The meander tale a loss and again, our old Heidenberg in the days when hidden clouds walked the earth. In the ignorance that implies impression, that knits knowledge, that finds the name form, that whets the wits, that convey contacts, that sweetens sensation, that drives desire, that adheres to attachment, that dogs death, that bitches birth, that entails the ensuance of existentiality. But with a rush out of his navel, reaching the reredos of Ramasbatham, a terracolous vivally on view this, queer, and it continues to be quaky, a hatch, a celt, an ear share, the purpose of which was to sassay the earth crust of all hours, forwards, bagwards, like yoxen at the turnpat. Here say figurines bellicose arming and mounting and arming bellicose figurines see here. Futhork, this little effigy, is for a fire thing called a flint for all. Face at the east, oh I fay, face at the waist, ho ye fie, unwap and dump 'em, face to face. When a part so peat does duty for the holos, we soon grow to use of an all for a bit. Here please to stoop are silver and cued peated peas of quite a peculiar interest in as little as they are pellets that make the tom-tummies payroll. Right rank Ragnar rocks, and with these rocks orangotangos wrangled rough and right go wrong. Wisha, why da? thick as for thorn that stuck in its toil, like thumb full straight or thrust for vengeance. What a nice old nest it makes, a midden-hide hoard of objects, Olives, Beets, Kimmels, Dollys, Alfreds, Beatties, Cormacs, and Daltons. Owlets, Eags, oh stoop to please, are here. Crickets from Asian, all now quite obsolete, and old waddy wobblers, Howdworth, a wipe, o grass. See the snake worms every side. Our Dubin is swarming in snakes. They came to our island from triangular Tuchitier, from beyond the wet prairie, reared up in the midst of the cargon of prohibitive promofrunks, but a long-landed Paddy Whippingham and his garbage cans caught the creeps of them pricker than our who's there out of man could quicker up her what's that's. Some divide and some thought, but the tally turns round the same ballofusion. Racketeers and buttluggers. Axe on thwax on thrax, axon wise. One by one, place by three, ditto and one before. Two nurses one makes a plausible free and idem behind. Starting off with a big boa and three-legged calvers, and Ivar grain jaddises with a message in their mouths, and 100 field unleavened weight of liberal rumcue, to con and week until Alhora's Eve. What a Neanderthal tale to unfurl, and with what an end in view of squatter and anti-squatter, and post-proneonti-squatter. To say to us to be every Tim, Nick and Larry of us sons of the sod, sons little sons, yea and lee little sons, when uses not to be every Sue, Sis and Sally of us, doctors of none, accused of ansire, damadam to infaties. True, there was in Nilod Diabos as yet no lump and papier in the waste, and might mountain pen still groan for the missus to let it flee. Oh, it was of ancientry. You gave me a boot, signs on it, and I ate the wind. I quizzed you a quid, with for what, and you went to the quad. But the world mind is, was, and will be writing its own runes forever. Man, on all matters that fall under the ban of our infrational senses, for the last milch camel, the heart vein throbbing between his eyebrows, has still to moor before the tomb of his cousin, Charmian, where his date is tethered by the palm that's hers. But the horn, the drinking, the day of dread are not now. A bone, a pebble, a ramskin, chip them, chap them, cut them up all ways, leave them to terra cook in the mothering pot. And Guten Morg with his Chrome Magnum Charter, tin tinting fast, and great primer, must once for omnibus step rup rick red out of the word-press else. Is there no virtue more in alcohol? For that, the rap one warns, is what papier is made of hides and hints and mitzes and prints, till ye finally, though not yet unlike, meet with the acquaintance of Mr. Typus, Mistress Tope, and all the little tippy-toppies. Fill stop. So you need hardly spell me how every word will be bound over to carry 70 top tipsical reading throughout the book of Doubleden's Gine. May his forehead be darkened with mud, who would sunder, till dayleth, Mahoma Huma, who oped it closeth there of the door. Cry not yet. There's many a smile to Nondum, with city maids per man, sir, and the park so dark by kindlelight. But look what you have in your hand, self. The movables are scrolling in motions, marching, all of them ago, in pit-pat and zing-zang for every busy Erie's wig, a bit of Tory tale to tell. One's upon a time, and two's behind their lettuce leap, and three's among the strubbly beds. And the chicks pick their teas, and the dome key he began. You can ask your ass if he believes it. And so Cuddy me only wallops have heels, that one of a wife with faulty barnets. For then was the age when hoops ran high, of a no-ark and a chopwife, of a pum full grave, and a fammy of levity, or of golden use that wanted gelding, or of what the mischief made a man do. Mow merry dad, he was reverso gassed by the frisk of her fracks and her pretty peerick. May fay, she's la gay this snaky woman. From that trippery to expectong pellic. Vale, Valentine eyes. She's the very best winning blows nail good. Flew in, flow on. Ho ho. So it's sure it was her, not we. But lay it easy, gentle mien. We are in rearing of a Norwig. So weeny beeny veeny teeny. Come cease. See. Het wis if ye noot. Leesom, I am doing it. Hark, the corn entreats, and the lark notes prittle. It was of a night, late, lang time agoen, in an old stane eld, when Adam was devlin in his madamine spinning water silts, when mouty naughty man was every bully, and the first leal ribber rubber that ever had her anyway, everybody to his love-saken eyes, and everybody lived a love with everybody else, and Harl van Toother had his burnt head high up in his lamp house, laying cold hands on himself. And his two little Jiminies, cousins of own, Christopher and Hilary, were kick-a-heeling their dummy on the oilcloth floor of his home rye, castle and earthen house. Anne B. Dermot, who come to the keep of his inn, only the niece of his in-law, the prank queen. And the prank queen pulled a rosy one, and made her wit for an inch the dower, and she lit up, and Fireland was ablaze. And spoke she to the dower in her petty Perusienne, "Mark the wands, why am I a look like a poss of porter-peas?" And that was how the skirmishes began. But the dower hand-worded her grace and douche Nassau shut. So her grace O'Malice kid snapped up the Jiminy Christopher, and into the shandy wilderness she ran. And Jarl Van Hoother walshed after her with soft dove's gall. Stop, come back to me here and stop. But she swore a did to him on likelihood. And there was a Branawal, that same Sabbath night, of falling angles somewhere in Ario. And the prank queen went for her 40 years' walk in Toromond, and she washed the blessings of the love spots off the Jiminy with soap Sulliver Suddles, and she had her 4 owlers masters for to touch him his tickles, and she convorted him to the one sure all good, and he became a luderman. So then she started to rain and to be red tum. She was back again at Harl Van Hoother's in a brace of samers, and the Jiminy with her in her pinafron, lace at night at another time. And where did she come but to the bar of his Bristolry? And Jarl Van Hoother had his bare toe bruised heels drowned in his cellar malt, shaking warm hands with himself, and the Jiminy Hilary and the dummy in their first infancy were below on the tear sheet, ringing and coughing like Brodar and Hister. And the prank queen nipped a pally one and lit up again, and red cocks flew flackering from the hill combs. And she made her witter before the wicked, saying, "Mark the twee, why do am I look alike, 2 poss of porter-peas?" "And shut," says the wicked, hand-warding her majesty. So her majesty of forethought set down a Jiminy, and took up a Jiminy, and all the Lilliput ways to Woman's land she rain. And Harl Van Hoother bleathered at her with a loud Finnegan, "Stop, dumb, stop, come back with my earrings, stop." But the prank queen swara did, "I'm liking it." And there was a wild old Grenawell that Lawrencey night of star shooting somewhere in Ario. And the prank queen went for her 40 years' walk in Turlemene, and she punched the curses of Crumcruel with the nail of a top into the Jiminy, and she had her 4 larksical monatrix to touch him his tears, and she provorted him to the one certain all secure, and he became a Christian. So then she started rainin', and in a pair of changers bedummed her. She was back again at Harl Van Hoother's on the Larry Hill, with her under her abromit. And why would she hold to roll, if not by the ward of his mansion home, of another nice lace for the 3rd charm? And Harl Van Hoother had his hurricane hips up to his panty brocks, ruminating in his hold four stomachs. Dare, oh dare, and the jiminy tougher trees, and the dummy were beloved on the watercloth, kissing and spitting, and roguing and pog-hewing, like knave paltry and naive bride in their second infancy. And the prank queen picked a blank and lit out, and the valleys lay twinkling. She made her wittiest in front of the archway of triumph, asking, "Mark the trees, why do I am a look alike 3 poss of porter peas?" But that was how the skirmishes endooped. For like the Campbells a-coming with a fork lance of lightning, Hurl Van Hooter Bonerg himself, the old terror of the dames, came hip-hop handicap out through the pike-opened archway of his 3 shortened castles, in his broad ginger hat, and his civic collar, and his alabuff hemd, and his bull-bragging socks and gloves, and his lad-boke breeks, and his catgut bundelair, and his four-framed pan-nuclear combots, like a rud-yelling grubleen orange man, in his violet indignation, to the whole length of the strength of the bowman's bill. And he clapped his rude hand to his easy hitch, and he ordered, and his thick speech spec for her to shut up shop dappy, and the duppy shot the shutter clap. Per cod has Kurenbag ruyo yago clor, leor grom gremic tandurth, ruma thuna rudid, ye fatili boom mulung kun. And they all drank free, for one man in his armour was a fat match always for any girls under shorts. And that was the first piece of a literary poetry in all of the flammin' floody flatuous world. How Kiersey the Tiltler made a sweet unclothed in our Willian capital. So for shalt thou see, between ye and me. The prank queen was to hold her dummyship, and the Jimimies was to keep the peace wave, and Van Hooter was to get the wind up. Thus the hearsomeness of the burgher felicitates the whole of the polis. O Phoenix culprit, ex nihilo malo comes Michaelmas bonum. Heel real ones in company billeted, let's be proud of. Breast high and best ride, only for that these will not breathe upon the Noronisa, nor renein the secrest of their sourcelessness. Cori silex Humphrey no answa, undi gentian festines, Livia no answa. Woken cap is on him, frowned, Odi orient, he would eavesdrip, were it mouse at hand, were it din of bottles in the far ear. Mark his veils are darkling, with lips she lispeth to him all the time of touch on touch and thou on thou. She, he, she, ho, she, ha, to, la. Here fluke, if he could bad twigger. Impalpabant, he abhears. The sound waves are his buffeteers, they trump him with their trumps. The wave of Rory, and the wave of Hooshed, and the wave of Ho-Ho-Hord, and the wave of Never Heed Them Horse Luggers and Lissel to Mine. Landloft by his neighbour's mistress, and perpetrified in his offsprung, sabes and suckers, the moaning pipers could tell him to his face back, the loudy one whose lobe we are devourers of, how but for his hold halibut, or her to her parder puff, the lip-a-lip one whose live we drink at, how biff for her tiddy wink of a windfall, our breed and washer givers, there would not be a holy spire on the town, nor a vestal flouting in the dock, nay to make plen of owls, nor a ewe, nor an eye to play cash in Novo Nilbud by swamplight, nor a toll, or toll, and nody hint to the convenience. He dug in and dug out by the skill of his tilth for himself and all belonging to him, and he sweated his crew beneath his auspice for the living, and he earned his dread, that dragon volant, and he made louse for us and delivered us to boll weevils amain, that mighty liberator, Unfru Chikda Udu Rukru, and begad he did, our ancestor most worshipful, till he thought of a better one in his widower's house, with that blush mantle upon him from ear's end to ear's end. And would again, could whispering grasses wake him in May again when the fiery bird disembers. and will again, if so by sooth, by elder, to his younger shall be said, have you wines for my wedding? Did you bring bride and bedding? Will you whoop for my deading is a? Wake, usquiad bowem, anam muck and dowd. Did ye drink me dornail? Now be aisy, good Finnemore, sir, and take your leisure like a god on pension, and don't be walking abroad. Sure you'll only lose yourself in Heliopolis, now the way your roads in Capel Vaster are that winding there after the cavalry, the Northumbrian and the Fivesbarrow and waddling raids, and the Bower Moor, and wet your feet maybe with the foggy dews abroad, meeting some sick old bankrupt, or the Cotterick's donkey with his shoe hanging, Clan Chantaka, or a slut snoring with an impure infant on a bench. 'Twould turn you against life, so 'twould, and the weather's that mean too. To part from Devlin is hard as Nugent knew. To leave the clean tanglesome one lushier than its neighbour in franchisable fields, but let your ghost have no grievance. You're better off, sir, where you are, prime signed in the full of your dress, blood eagle waistcoat and all, remembering your shapes and sizes on the pillow of your baby curls, under your sycamore by the Keldwater, where the Tories' clay will scare the varmints, and have all you want, pouch, gloves, flask, bricket, kerchief, ring, and ambrula, the whole treasure of the pyre, in the land of souls with Homan and Broin Braruk, and Polo Lonan, and no bucket Nosler, and the Guinness Khan, and we'll be coming here, the Umbra players, to rake your gravel, and bringing you presents, won't we, Finians? And isn't it our spittle will stint you of, is it, druids? Not shabty little imagets, penny darts, and dodge my eyes you buy in sooty stores, but offerings of the field, Melio Dories that Dr. Ferrety, the Madison man, taught to gooden you. Poppy pap's a passport out, and honey is the holiest thing that ever was. Hive, comb, and earwax, the food for glory. Mind you keep the pot, or your nectar cup may yield you light. And some goat's milk, sir, like the maid used to bring you. Your fame is spreading like Basilico's ointment since the Finton Lailers piped you over border, and there's whole households beyond the Bothnians, and they're calling names after you. The men here's always talking of you sitting around on the pig cheeks under the sacred roof tree, over the bowels of memory where every hollow holds a hallow, with a pledge till the drings in the salmon house, and admiring to our super shillalach, where the palm sweat on high is the mark of your monument. All the toeth picks ever Irenaceans chewed on are chips chipped from that battery block. If you were bowed and soiled and let down itself from the owner of the load, it was that paddy planters might pack up plenty, and when you were undone in every point for the lapse of goddesses, you showed our labour lasses how to free was easy. The game old gun, they do be saying, Skull, that was a planter for you, a spicer of them all. But he was, the G.O.G. He's dead and gone now, and we're after finding the sores of his siddick, but peace to his great limbs, the buttock, with the last league long rest of him, while the million-candled eye of Tuskar sweeps the Moylan man. There was never a warlord in Greater Ennis, nor Bretland, nor in all Pike County like you, they say. No, nor a king, nor an ard king, bung king, sung king, or hung king, that you could fell an elm's tree 12 urchins couldn't ring round and hoist high the stone that Liam failed. Who but a Macalamore, the rise of our fortunes, and the fun I men at funeral, to compass our cause? If you was hoggle bully itself, and most thrifty like you was taking waters, still what all where was your like to lay the cable, or who was the batter could better your grace? Mick-Mac Menus Macaulay can take you off to the pure perfection, and Leatherbags Reynolds tries your shuffle and cut. But as Hopkins and Hopkins puts it, you were the pale Eddie Nagy, and a kiss to Tilly up. We calls him the journey all buggerloffs, since he went Jerusalem faring in Arsha Manor. You had a gamier cock than Pete, Jack, or Martin, and your arch goose of geese stubbled for All Angels' Day. So may the priest of 7 worms and scalding tea-boil, Papa Vestre, come never anear you as your hair grows wheater beside the liffey that's in heaven. Hip, hip, hurrah there, hero! 7 times there too we salute you. The whole bag of kits, falcon plumes, and jackboots enclotted is where you flung them that time. Your heart is in the system of the she-wolf, and your crested head is in the tropic of Copricapron. Your feet are in the cloister of Virgo. Your Olala is in the region of Sawhus, and that's ashore you were born. Your shuck ticks swell, and then their Texas is toe linen. The loam soul roam till Lafayette is ended. Drop in your tracks, babe, be not unrested. The head-bodied watcher of the Chimple of Isid, Totem Kalman, saith, I know thee, Metherjar, I know thee, salvation boat. For we have performed upon thee, thou Abram a nation, who comest ever without being invoked, whose coming is unknown, all the things which the company of the precentors and of the grammarians of Christ Patrick's ordered concerning thee in the matter of the work of thy tombing. How of the shipmen, steep woe? Everything's going on the same, or so it appeals to all of us in the old homestead here. Coffins all over the sanctuary, bad scrant to me Aunt Florenza. The horn for breakfast, one o' gong for lunch and dinner chime, as popular as when Belly the First was king and his members met in the Diet of Man. The same shop slop in the window, Jacob's letter crackers and Dr. Tipple's V cocoa, and the Assuard's dissipated soup beside Mother Seagull's syrup. Meat took a drop when Riley Parsons failed. Coal's short, but we've plenty of bog in the yard, and barley's up again, but grain to it. The lads is attending school lessons regular, sir, spelling be knees with half a tansy and turning out tables by mud application. Oh, for the books and never pegging smashers after Tom Bow Glassarse or Timmy the Tosser. 'Tis really the truth. No, isn't it, Roman Pathorix? You were the double-jointed janitor the morning they were delivered, and you'll be a grandfer yet, entirely when the right hand seizes what the love arm knows. Kevin's just a dote with his cherub cheek, chalking ogres on walls, in his little lamp and school belt and bag of nicks, playing postman's knock round the dingings. And if the seep were milk, you could leave his old by his eyed, but louse sake, the devil does be in that kirps of a Jerry sometimes, the Taradtan plaid boy, making an incostive income out of his last of his lavings and writing a blue streak over his birthday shirt. Hetty Jane's a child of Mary. She'll be comin', for they're sure to choose her, in the white of gold with a torch of ivy to rekindle the flame on Felix Day. But Essie Shanahan has let down her skirts. You remember Essie in our Luna's convent. They called her Holly Mary, her lips were so ruddy berry, and Pia de Purebell, when the Red Miners' riots were on about her. Were I a clerk designate to the Williams Woods manufacturers, I'd poster these powters on every jam in the town. She's making her rep at Lanner's twice nightly, where the tabarine tam-tammers of the Whirligig McGee's beats that cha-choo-cha flat. 'Twould dilate your heart to go. Is he now, you decent man, with your knees and lie quiet and repose your honour's lordship? Hold him here, Ezekiel Irons, and may God strengthen you. It's our warm spirits, boys. He's spooring. Demetrius O'Flanagan, cork that cure for the Clancarties. You swamped enough since Portobello to float the Pomeroy. Fetch Nea here, Pat Coy. And fetch new you, Pam Yates. Be Nather Anks of Ramarich. Here's Lumbos. We're Misty Swadnam. We're Missy's Lodge Nun. We're Mystery's poor kind on, oh sleepy. So be yet. I've an eye on queer Bayhan and old Kate and the butter, trust me. She'll do no juggly-wuggly with her war souvenir postcards to help to build me Muriel tippers. I'll tip your traps. Assured there. And we put on your clock again, sir, for you. Did or didn't we, share stutterers? So you won't be up a stump entirely, nor shed your remnants. The stern wheel's crawling strong. I seen your missus in the hole, like the Queen of Eir. Ara, it's herself that's fine too. Don't be talking. Shirksens? You story an Harry chap wrong a me Harry chap story an grass woman pletty good trout. Shakes hands. Dibble a Hayfort's wrong, with her only her legs salig. Bold Tib does be yawning and smirking cat's hours on the Pollexis's woolly round tabouret cushion, watching her sewing a dream together the tailor's daughter stitched her last, or while waiting for winter to fire the enchantment, decoying more nesters to fall down the flue. It's an avalanche that blows no pussy food. If you were only there to explain the meaning of men, best of men, and talk to her nice of gold and silver, the lips would moisten once again, and when you drove with her to Findrinny Fair, what with reins here and ribbons there, all your hands were employed, so she never knew was she on land or at sea, or swooped through the blue like Erwinger's bride. She was flirtsome then, and she's fluttersome yet. She can second a song and adores a scandal when the last post's gone by. Fond of a concertina and pairs passin' when she's had her 40 winks for supper after kinin' and ably dimplin', and is in her Merlin chair assotted reading her Evening World. To see it smarts full lengths her swaggers. News, all the news. Death, a leopard, kills fella in Fez. Angry scenes at Stormont. Still a star with her lucky and going ways. Opportunity fair with the China floods, and we hear those rosy rumours. Ding Thames, he knows about all that same Harry chap. She's seeking her way, a chuckle, in and out of their serial story, lace loves of Selskar and Parvench, freely adapted to the Norwegians' viv. There'll be bluebells blowing in salty sepulchres the night she signs her final tear. The end. But that's a world of ways away. Till track law's time. No silver ash or switches for that one, while flattering candles flare. Anastasies, how are you? Were their waist in the noblest, says Adam and Sons, the wood-pay auctioneers. Her hair's as brown as it ever was, and wavy. Repose you now, fin no more. For, be that same-sex substitute of a hooky salmon, there's already a big roddy ram lad at random on the premises of his haunt of the 100 Bordels, as it is told me. Shop illicit, flourishing like a Lord Major or a boa babum, lit and flop a dead flop, a loose, to lee, but lifting a bend branch a yard along Ivoa on the breezy side for Shome, the height of Brewster's chimney, and as broad below as Phineas Barnum, humping his share of the Shouthers is sinking on him he's such a grandfather, with a pocket wife in pickle, that's a fly fired, and 3 lice nittle kinkers, 2 twiling bugs, and 1 midget pucelle. And either he cursed and recursed and was ever seen doing what your four footlers saw, or he was never done seeing what you cool pigeons know. Weep the clouds aboon for smile down witnesses, and that'll do now about the fairy he's and the fairy she's. Though I sit fibble to the Zephyroth, and arts a zoom it round her heavens forever. Creator he has created, for his creature one's a creation. White monothoid, red theatrocrat, and all the pink prophets co-heralding? Very much so. But however 'tis sure for one thing, what Sheriff Torah vouches for, and Mapkeek makes put out, that the man, Hum the Cheapener, Esquire, overseen as we thought him, yet a worthy of the name, came at this time-coloured place where we live in our parochial firmament, one tide on another, with a bum rush in a hull of a wherry, the twin turbine dow, the bay for Dibbling, this archipelago's first visiting schooner, with a Wicklow pattern waxen wench at her prow for a figurehead, the Dead Sea dugong dripping from the depths, and has been re-preaching himself like a fish-mummer these 60 years ever since, his Chevy by his side, a D and aid, growing whorish under his turban, and changing cane sugar into cellulose starch, tut says to him, and also that batten the bulky hoodie bloats about when inebriated, our old offender was humile, commune and insectuous from his nature, which you may gauge after the by-names was put under him in lashons of languages, honine suit and praisers be, and, totalizing him, even Hamisim of Himashim, that he sober serious, he is he, and no counter he, who will be ultimately repunchable for the hubbub caused in Edinburgh.